Welcome to the Tabletop Gaming Guild show. The Tabletop Gaming Guild show is all about the memories and experience that playing tabletop games with friends and family can create. On this episode, we are going to be going over our holiday buying guide. So, games we're going to recommend to you in multiple different categories. We're going to go over and what we think would be really great for that special someone in your life to bring some gaming in. We're going to go ahead and start off with what we feel is the best game for casual gamers. I'm going to start off with Peter here. He's going to throw off his first game, and then we're going to go to the rest of us.
That's right. Start with the best, finish with the rest. All right. Game for casual gamers. I think that I like a game for casual gamers that is not super like gotcha games. You're not going to be going at each other a whole lot. You want it to be an easy intro, hopefully with some fairly easy rules to follow. And it might even be awesome if they had a great rule book that if you just follow through the rule book, you learn the game like really easily. And this is not a thing. This is like, Unicorn having a great rule book like that and a game that's nice for casual players. I'm recommending Isle of Cats.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic game. It starts off, I believe, it's a four-player game, so it's a pretty good number group that you can get together for casual gamers, as well as it plays well at lower counts as well in the 2 to 3 player range. But again, the rule book is really great if you just read your way through it together and do the turns as you read through it. You're going to learn the game really quickly. It's got a nice, fun, kind of casual theme to it as well. You're going to a mythical island where all of these
Mhm.
cats live in their own glory. And you're going there to rescue these cats because they're endangered. And you're playing over a period of 5 days, which is 5 rounds. And as you rescue the cats, you're paying fish to use cards and to attract the cats to your ship, where you then group them in families. So you want like color cats with like color cats. And the bigger the family, the more points you're going to get. You're also working towards some personal and or public rules, so some goals that everybody's using. And it's a fun polyomino. So your cats are all different shapes, and so you're laying them
Yeah.
onto your ship, kind of playing Tetris with them so that you can get them to fill the ship as best as possible. For those of you out there who are completionists, I'm sorry, you will not ever fill that boat completely full. It's just not possible in Isle of Cats, but you can do as best as possible. It's a really great game. You're going to play it in about an hour and a half, probably, especially for your first time through. Um, and I would put it, if you're already a casual gamer, you might have played something called Wingspan. It's been around for a little bit. I would consider it kind of like Wingspan, but a little bit plussed. I think it's like Wingspan plus. I think it's just got a little bit more replayability to it for me, anyways. But yeah, nice light game, really really fun theme. And I think it'd be great for casual gamers. And I'm gonna pass it on to whomever is next.
That would be Evan.
Evan, you're up.
Revin Evan.
And Evan is muted.
That would be me. I was muted,
Yeah.
but I am no longer muted now. So, casual gamers, I decided to go with a game that is fairly rules light. You can play the game in approximately 10 minutes. You can teach
Ooh.
the game within 2 to 3 minutes. And that is a game that we have played multiple times together, other than Nathan because he's an AI bot. And that is We're Doomed.
Yeah.
It's terrible. A terrible game. I don't know why you would recommend this.
I
I
no,
I, I
I'm
don't
not
know.
not going to be doing any of this. So I get tackled when I do that.
You're too injured to do that right now,
Yeah,
anyways.
it's true. This
But
was hard. I was like, ah.
the game We're Doomed, you are playing as a ocracy in the world, and the world is ending in the next 10 minutes. And in order to save yourself, you got together with the other ocracies of the world and you were building a spaceship to get off of the planet.
Until you get betrayed by your fellow ocracy that you were buddies with the entire game, and they betray you in the last 30 seconds.
The game is fantastic. It is absolutely, you can't take it seriously. There's so much silliness and shenanigans, but it's not to the point that it's really an activity. It is a game that you do go through and play because casual gamers sometimes, you don't want to spend huge loss because they're not getting into these big heavy games. But it's readily available with expansion. Really, really enjoy it. It is always popular whenever I bring it to our game days, and we get a
Yes.
couple games of it and a lot of laughs. So that's why I put it on my list.
Yeah, that's a good one. So for me, I knew Amon Anderson when he did Levity Games, which is a company that does stickers to upgrade games. So I got his stickers for like Dune Imperium, Viticulture, all sorts of different games. They're amazing. They add a really cool pop of color to the game and make it look a little bit more thematic. Well, he actually designed a game, and I was super excited about that. The game was super popular with all the publishers. They were actually fighting over the publishing rights of the game, which I was super excited, super happy about that. Got a great deal, and it was published by the OP. Now, in general, when things get published by the OP, I think medium to, okay quality. Well, this game, they produced very well. It is a very high quality game, really great component quality, and the game is amazing too. And that's Gnome Hollow. Gnome Hollow is great for the casual gamer, easy to teach, sort of a tile laying game there where you're trying to make these little fairy rings so that you can score in the game. You're trying to do some set collections with the different mushrooms. Just overall, a really great game. And I really appreciate the fact that it is really a beautiful game, really well published, really good components, and easy to teach. And it's an engaging game. Now, may not be for the hardcore gamers, but it's definitely a great game for casual gamers, and one that I think hits a pretty wide audience, and that is Gnome Hollow for me.
Okay, well, I chose one specifically. I was looking for something that's great for casual gamers, but if you're a heavy gamer and you want to buy this for somebody and want to actually play it with them, I want something that's actually going to be suitable for you as well. So that's why I picked a classic Reiner Knizia game that has been recently reprinted in a really nice version, and that's Raw.
Okay, I was going to jump on you because that is probably the only game he's made that'll work for casual gamers. So,
Yeah,
touche.
he tends to be very thinky, a lot of heavy strategy. But Raw is pretty much just a bidding game with set collection. And it's very minimalistic and fairly abstract. And in it, your turn consists of either pulling a tile or you can start the auction. If you're pulling a tile, you're just adding it to the collective market, and your turn's over. Once the auction starts, you have 4 different numbers in front of you. You can bid, but if you win that bid, you get all the tiles in the market plus the bidding tile that you can use that the last person used, rather. So you could be potentially getting a better number for bidding in the next round, as well as a lot of cool tiles for your set collection. And there's various things like you can build out these farms, and you flood the river to make your farms worth points. You can get monuments, and there's lots of ways to make points, but it's basically set collection.
Yep. And it is fun. You win this round. I will get you though. Don't worry. All right, so moving on to our next game. That was our casual games we recommended. This next game is going to be about in the same vein, but this game is going to be games for kids. So this is going to be games that you can bring to the table and play with your little ones, or they can play with their friends. So we're going to go ahead and start off with Peter and what he feels is his best kid game for the holidays there.
All right, so this one for me is one that I have heard multiples, Evan and James, talk about now for a couple of years. I don't have kids of my own, so I don't play kids games all that often. But this year I got a chance to play this game with Evan's youngest son, and that is the Quest Kids. And I liked it so much that I also got it for my niece and nephew as well. And looking forward to eventually getting the chance to play it with them too. It is a great intro to like kind of a dungeon crawly monster scaring, not killing, scaring
Yeah.
monsters out of the dungeon for those really young kids. And we're talking like 5 years of age, 6 years old playing this game. Very easy to learn. It's got a nice table presentation. It's kind of nice and big. I enjoy the size of it. So you get kind of that same feel of getting into a fun big dungeon game, but it is a very rules light, very easy for the kids to play, and a lot of fun for them to play as well. I had a great time playing it with Evan's son, so I'm going to recommend the Quest Kids, and I know that it also has a one or two expansions, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah,
two
Toke, and
expansions.
then yeah.
Yep. So it's got some replayability as is on the base game, but you can also throw in some extra expansions to keep that replayability up for it. So I am recommending the Quest Kids.
I two comments on that. One is I love the fact that it's a cooperative kids game. That is
Yes.
amazing. So the kids work together.
I
But not
always
only
love
that,
cooperative kids games.
it puts a layer on top of it, which I think is amazing. It has those kind kid cards. So it
Yes.
encourages the kids to cooperate with each other and help each other. And I
Yeah.
think that's really cool going through that
Yeah,
dungeon.
it's
So
not it's
yeah,
not it's not a possible cooperative game. It is we encourage you to
right.
cooperate by paying by like, helping you get, the kind kid cards, which I think is awesome. I totally agree with you on that one. And I think I may have heard that they're planning on doing a show related to the Quest Kids.
That I don't know.
When I got the game and I opened it up, I think there might have been a card in there talking about some kind of show coming up for the kids. So we'll see.
Well, they're doing well, so I wouldn't be
Yep.
surprised.
Further note about that is there's a third expansion coming out. It's going to be a Kickstarter very soon. Also, one cool thing is the most recent Kickstarter that they did. You can get the jumbo size version of that, where it doesn't come with like the miniatures and stuff like that. It's basically all the cards, but the tile cards are like 1.5 foot by 1.5 foot that you can lay out and make the dungeon, and then they can actually play going through it as themselves, which is a really cool thing.
Yeah, that's
Really,
awesome.
really awesome. Plus, also, my son Ralph enjoyed playing it with Peter, and it's a great thing that he could actually go through the rule. Like he just turned 7 not that long ago, like, and he was able to go through and teach Peter quite a bit about the game. Not
Yeah.
perfectly, I'm
No,
sure,
but
but
no, but he did a good job.
yeah. So it is a fantastic game. It almost made it on my list, but it's not the one that I picked.
Hmm.
So the one that I picked is one that we actually enjoy playing in our house right now. So as I just mentioned, Ralph is 7, but my older son is 15. So finding a game that they both can play
Ah.
together with the age gap is a challenge. And one game that I have found that actually works really, really well, and also my wife enjoys playing it also with them, is The Shivers. So The Shivers is rated for 14 plus, but I actually have no problem with my youngest playing this. The Shivers, it is a pop-up book adventure game. So it is really cool, and it is set in this manner, and it has 3 different modules that you go through that have sub adventures in it, and you're going to go through, I think, the 5 sub adventures to complete one module of it. Each one takes approximately 30 minutes to an hour to do, and the entire concept of it is actually really an RPG light. So you're going to interact with the pop up that's in there and the different things that you're going to need to do. You're going to have to problem solve the issues like you would in an RPG. How do I get, past the locked door? Well, 2 rooms ago, we had, this, and this. If we put those together, that'll allow us to do this. And it encourages all of that. And what's really cool is none of the challenges are extremely hard, but encourage thinking about them. And that's why I really like it for them. And they're able to do that together and play a fun experience with it. So the table presence is absolutely amazing. The pop-up book looks great. The absolute downside to it is because it's a pop-up book, it is cardboard. So some things will wear after time. So you have to be careful, because also as you go through it, there are doors you can actually open on the pop-up book, or cupboards that you can open. So you got to be kind of careful doing that, because it will rip if you don't. But it's you got to give something to get something with this one. But absolutely recommend it. It is a fun experience. We've gotten through the first full module. We're into the second one now. It's really fun.
Yeah, that is a good
Sounds
game.
great. I'm also going to jump in real quick. Not a TV show for the Quest Kids. It is starting out as a book series now.
Oh, that's still
And they've
cool.
got the first book out, and it came out this April. So it is called Skylar and the Quest for Power. So
Skylar. Yep.
Oh, going on the
Yeah.
Christmas
going on the
list.
Christmas list. So
Yeah, there you go. All right. So, what is great about having a kids game? Well, you get to play with kids. What is even better about a kids game? A kids game that has been designed by a kid and is really, really good. So, I used to watch Dan Hughes, and he had his daughter Cora on there, and they were on Board Game Breakfast when that was around. And I believe through COVID, Cora worked with her father and designed a game called Cora's Quest. And Cora's Quest is like would be the next level up from Kids Quest. So it is not as easy as Kids Quest. Kids Quest is great for introductory dungeon delving, has really cool stuff on there. When they're ready for the next level, when they're ready for like more meat on it, that's where Cora Quest comes out. And it's not that much of a jump, but there is. You're going to be rolling dice in this one. You're going to be trying to defeat the baddies and complete these different missions that are in Cora Quest. And the art was all drawn by kids, so it's really cool. In the game, I just love the art on it. And the gameplay is phenomenal for it. I have my little ones playing it, and I believe it says it could go 6 up, and that is correct. 6 up is good age group for this. It's good. And like I said, if you're going to start out and they've never played anything before, I really recommend Kids Quest first, but Cora Quest is the next one up, and it's going to be an amazing experience. It's very thematic. It'll draw the kids in. So there's a big story you can go through. And what makes it even better is you don't have to read the story if you don't want to. They actually made a audio app for the story, so you can make that play instead of you reading the story long. So I thought that was really cool too. But yeah, really love Core Quest. I think it's a really great kids game, and that's my recommendation.
So
Mr. Nathan?
I don't play a whole lot of kids game. I pretty much only play kids games once a year when I visit James and his kids. So a rough category for me. So I kind of have to end up going with the same one I went with last. I think it's the one I went with last year, which is Downforce. It's just more a family game. I played it with young kids, but usually like if they're particularly young, they're going to pair with their parents and give their parents bad advice. But it's a really simple game, racing game where you are playing cards to move your cards as well as other players' cards, and you have to move all the cards listed on your card. And the main strategy in it is trying to time your play so that maybe some of the cards can't actually move the movement you're trying to give them, so that you're not moving your opponents as much. But the key thing that I think makes it fun for younger players is you can also win by predicting who's going to win. So even if you're not doing well, if you are paying attention and notice, oh, this person's doing really well and we're holding back and maybe going to do a last minute sprint, you can bet on that person winning and potentially win that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty solid game in there. I think if I had to guess, that would probably be 8 up for that game, or closer to the 10.
Yeah.
You do have some math in there, and you do have to do some you know, calculation sport, but yeah, good kids game. So that was our kids game we recommended. The next thing we're gonna do is this is going to be for your non-gamer in your life, the one you want to play a game with, but they just don't really play games normally. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with Peter here, and he's going to give his recommendation for that non-gamer in your life.
So, first off, before I say my game, I think it's very important that if you are the gamer wanting to play a game with a non-gamer, you must choose a game you are passionate about. Something I think it's super important that if you're going to try to win this person over to play this game with you, you need to be able to sell that game to them. You need to be passionate about it, and you need to be ready to teach it.
And
And
energetic
so
while playing it.
energetic while playing it. So for me, a game that I can easily teach, that I am super passionate about because I think it's a fantastic game. And every time I get the chance to play it, I'm excited. Is Raiders of the North Sea. I get really, really into the Viking theme. The whole idea behind it excites me. It's a very simple game to teach, and I think very fun, easy worker placement game because you're just placing a meeple and taking an action, picking up a meeple and taking an action, and that's your turn. And you're just doing that back and forth. It plays very, very well at 2-player, all the way up to I think it's 4 or 5 players. In every iteration that I've ever played it, I have enjoyed it multiple times. And so it's easy meeple worker placement mechanic happening there. It's also an easy card mechanic where you're either using the card for an action or using the card as the person to go raiding with you. So very, very simple to teach and to play. And it's something that I'm passionate about. And so I can definitely get my non-gamer friends interested to sit down with me and at least check it out. So for me, Raiders of the North Sea is an easy sell to a non-gamer.
Now I have a public
And
service announcement for that.
yes, please.
There's 2 versions.
Oh yes, public service announcement for sure. Do not get the Target version.
Yeah, so it is cheaper. So if you're like, I don't want to spend money, you're going to suffer a little bit of the component quality.
Yeah.
I really do think that it's not worth it. It's
Nope.
just worth paying the extra couple bucks because it's not a $60 game. It's not that bad to begin with.
Nope.
So I highly recommend getting the non-mass market version.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you spend that extra $5-6 or whatever and get the better component quality for sure.
So counterpoint, but not really a counterpoint to Peter's. The other side of the coin on that one is if you can pick something that they are passionate about, that is also your avenue to get them into a game. Because if it's something that they're going to enjoy or something that they really like already,
yes,
you have your avenue in.
Absolutely.
And what I picked is something that seems to be very popular, has been popular for the last couple years, and seems to still be popular because there's a lot of them out there. And it seems like a lot of people enjoy doing puzzles in the escape room variety. So I picked a set of 2 games that are escape room-ish. And they're side quests. One's Nemesis, one's 7C. So if they like a space theme or if they like pirates, I'm sure one of those is probably going to work. But either way, they're escape room-esque, and it's a small box. It's a really small box. It takes about an hour to go through it, and the entire thing is very well laid out, very well described through the rule book on how you're going to do it, and nothing is overly super complex as you go, but is very engaging as you do go through them. So if you have somebody that seems to like to do puzzles or escape rooms, this is a good way. You're not going to spend a lot of money to get them to play a game, but you're going to engross them into a game for the couple bucks and that hour. I think it would be a very good way to get them into doing more games.
Yeah, I agree. I played both of those. really good. Little and it's and sometimes you get puzzle games and they're like so the Unlock's really known for this of having things that are culturally set. So or like in the one game we were playing, only two of us knew what a rotary phone was.
The problem I had with some of the unlocks and the other ones, sometimes you can pick the wrong one because it gets too
Yeah,
engrossed in the theme, like the one that has like the clown and whatnot that you're trying to escape from their like weird mansion. Like it has a puzzle that it's super weird. But
nonsensical. Yeah, it's
it's
nonsensical. Yeah, in
and
any way.
you can lose somebody very well because it's
Yeah,
just kind of it's all over the place in weirdness, which is great for the theme. But like if you don't pick the right one, that they can be hard. That's why I really like the cycles because there are only two
yeah, I agree
choices.
with that.
It's pirates or it's space. And by space I mean like space aliens, space.
Yeah, they're gonna eat you.
Yeah. So, but it's very good. Both of them are really good. So, also the unlocks and stuff are about 30 minutes. Which might be the way to go if you want somebody that only play for about 30 minutes. You know, that might be the better way to go. You have unlocks, you have the actual escape room. And there's a couple other ones too, but I think that route itself is going to be a good choice to get some people that are not gamers into
Yeah.
trying a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. So for me, for mine, I'm going to go on and you could get anything from this company, and they are going to fit for this. But for me, I'm going to go off of like mechanics that are pretty well known for even non-gamers, like trick taking and stuff. A lot of people grew up with like hearts and stuff like that. So there's a good pool of people that know it, and it's a good mechanic to learn for a lot of other things. So even if you don't know it, it's something that you can pick on, and it opens a giant world of games for you, especially with playing with a normal deck of cards. There's hundreds of games you can play once you learn trick taking. And I really love the game. It had multiple different iterations of this game, but this one is really good with all the different layers they added onto it. And that is Skull King. And that's published by Grandpa Beck Games. Their entire line of games is really meant for that non-gamer to get them into gaming and just have a lot of fun. This game is a game where you go from having one card to the 10th round having 10 cards. And each round, you are going to try to bet on how many tricks you're going to win. And whether or not you are correct on your bet is going to determine how well you're going to do. And it scales up. So even if you do badly, multiple times, you're getting more and more cards. So the more you're right, the more points you get. So you can catch up through the game too, which I really appreciate a lot. And this game also was known as like Oh Heck or Oh Hell. Wizard was a very popular game that was published, that is the same genre. But this is a lot of fun, and they added a bunch of different like cards you can add in that have different effects and different layers of the trick taking area that get to play. But yeah, Skull King's an amazing game. The art's amazing. You like pirate games? Amazing. I think it's a great game for non-gamers, especially when you get around the table and everyone's like having fun, and whether you make your bet or not doesn't really matter. It's just makes stories when you play it. So really like the Skull King. Think it's an amazing game. One of my favorite Grandpa Beck games, and that's my choice.
That's a really excellent choice. I really do love that game as well. And wild raucous things happen. It's like because there's get cards out of the game. You think, oh, there's no chance of this happening. Oh, of course it happened.
Yep.
But I went a similar tack. I went with trick taking, but I went with a cooperative trick taking game, which I think everybody knows what it is as soon as I say cooperative trick taking. That's the Crew. Now, the Crew is a pretty straightforward, starts off as a straightforward trick taking game with one exception. You have a mission, which is one specific player has to take a specific card in the trick. And everybody's cooperating to try to make sure that player gets that particular trick. And there's going to be 50 missions, and each mission is going to get progressively more difficult, and there'll be some strange missions in there that are a little bit more complicated. And there's communication rules. You can't tell people what's in your hand, but you have a limited communication where you can put down a card and take a marker on there and say that's your highest in that suit, lowest in that suit, or only in that suit. But you can only do that once per round. And that's really all there is to the crew. It's a lot of fun. It can be stressful at times. I mean, there's that tension of, I know what's going on. I don't think they know what's going on. And I can't tell them that they don't realize what's going on.
And,
But
and if
that's
you
Yeah.
and if you
Or
play
you
with
could
Peter,
cheat
he
like
yells at
us.
you.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
stress. Is Peter going to yell at me?
You're like,
Just don't talk. It's not that hard.
there's something about
It's not that hard, guys. Come on.
for
I
us, it's
look,
really hard.
Peter doesn't actually yell at us. He just scolds us.
He gives us the stink eye. He's like,
Yeah, I look at them very disapprovingly.
yeah,
You have a terrible stink eye, James.
I do. I have a terrible stink eye. It's more like surprise face. All right.
You just
Anyway.
look like you had a stroke.
Oh, that might happen too. Anyway, so that was our game for non-gamers. Now we're going to move on to games you recommend for playing with your family. Just, immediate family. Just get down in the family gatherings and pull out a game and have a lot of fun. So we're going to go ahead and start off with Peter. And what's Peter's family recommended game?
So family recommended game. I usually family stuff like I've got more people there, so I want a game that plays at a slightly higher play count, so I can get more people to the table. I want a game that's very easy, very rules light, not going to have a whole lot that I have to teach there. I like it to have a little bit of that gotcha in it because it's family and we like to needle each other a little bit. So I think that's fun. And so something that fits that bill for me is Unstable Games Here to Slay. So if you've heard of Unstable Games, they've got a ton of card games out there. Some of them I've enjoyed, some of them a little less so. This one, though, I really like because it leans into that role-playing game genre that I personally like. So everybody's going to be going in together, and you're going to try to put together your perfect team together of you need your wizards, you need your druids, you need your fighter, and so you're getting the cards for that, and the first person who can get their full group together is going to be the winner. So one of each different class of characters together, or it's going to be the person who can kill 3 monsters first. And so there's a lot of different stuff that can happen in this game where you're either if someone's going to try to kill a monster and they think that they have enough fighting power to do so, you can play a card on top of them that actually takes away some of their fighting power. So all of a sudden they don't defeat the monster. So there's that little bit of kind of gotcha that you can do. You can steal cards from other players at the table, which also gives you that mechanic where you're getting at each other. But the art is cute. So if you like cute animal art, then you're sold with this one. If you like the RPG aspect, you're sold on this one. If you like easy rules, you're good. And you can get up to 6 players at the table with this one. This is definitely when you want that higher play count. Not going to be all that much fun. If you're going to be less than 4 people, it's probably not going to be as enjoyable, but you want 4 or 5 or 6 players going with this one. They're quick turns. Everyone's going around is taking like 3 actions, or each of your actions is worth a certain amount of points, and you get 3 action points. Very, very simple. Lots of fun. We played it at the last library game day and had a blast. And so it's definitely a good one for, I think, for families and or parties as well. So Here to Slay.
So one that I picked was something that you can pull out. You have it on the ready. If you can explain the rules just in a few minutes, and everyone can get it, and you just can go, and everyone's gonna have some chuckles, have some laughs, then you did a good job. I know with my family get-togethers, or friends that are basically family, they get together because my family's spread all over, so I don't get actual family very often. But the one that I could play and I put on my list is A Fake Artist Goes to New York. So this game is a real small game. The rule book is a front and back of a piece of paper. It's really just a front because the back is in French or Spanish. But the idea is everyone is an artist except for one person. They're impersonating the artist. And the person that's going to come up with the prompt is going to write the prompt on these dry erase boards and put them out in front of everybody. And you pick one of them. However, one of those dry erase boards just has an X on it. So you don't know what the prompt is. And then the person that wrote the prompt is going to give a category that that prompt fits into. It's going to go around the table twice where you all have different color markers. You can draw a line. A line consists of when you put the pen on the paper till you pick up the pen off the paper, and it just keeps on going. Once it's all done, everyone has to guess on who the fake artist is. Obviously, they don't know the prompt, so they got to fake it till they make it. We actually just played it on this last Saturday. We had some friends over. We were gonna play some RPGs, but not everyone could make it. Not enough people, so we ended up just playing games. We played that. Fantastic, lots of laughs, good time. Real simple game that you can play with just friends and family. I think it's a great thing to have on your list.
Yeah, I agree. That one's a good one. It's very fun. Now, I'm surprised we don't have any crossover yet. I'm pretty sure that's not going to last forever. But the game that I really like, and I think it just didn't get, like, I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but it is an amazing game. And it was published by Pen Source Games, and it's called Infiltrators. If you like The Crew, this is the same idea. It's sort of an inverse crew. You're still working together. But basically what you're doing is you're going to have cards, a hand of cards you're going through, and you're trying to eliminate cards. So you have a suspect that you're trying to figure out, and you have a deck of cards, and you have cards in your hand. And through different actions, you can expose different cards. You know what cards you have in your hand to try to figure out who the suspect is. Once you think you know what the suspect is, you can use one of the bullets that's available in the game to state what you think the suspect is, and you can look at it, and if you're wrong, you got to keep on going, but you can't tell anyone what it is. So it's really cool. It's a really neat deduction game. It's really ingenious in how they did it. So it's just a deck of cards with 4 different suits. Really great game, and that's Infiltrators. Especially if you like The Crew, this is definitely would be one that you would like.
I should try that one out.
Yeah, I think you
I
like.
don't think we're gonna have many crossovers. I think we might only have one crossover between any of us. So we'll see though.
We'll see. We'll see.
So my family game, it's definitely good for family, and it's slowly becoming more of a party game because with each expansion they're adding more potential players, which is normally not a good thing necessarily, but I think it works so far with this one, and that's Heat Pedal to the Metal. So
Okay.
base game is good for 6 players. Each expansion they're adding extra players, and the designer has said, I believe that he said he's eventually going to have up to 11 players for this game, which is insane, but we'll see how that goes. It's another racing game, pretty straightforward. You are selecting your gear, and the gear you're in determines how many cards you can play from your hand, and the total value of your cards is how fast you go. But there's various things that can change that up. There's like stress cards that if you play them, you have to reveal a unknown card to add to your speed. And you can spend heat to go faster and so forth. It's pretty simple, straightforward, but it's still a lot of fun, and there's a lot of looking ahead and trying not to get caught off guard.
Yep, that's a good pick. So that was our games to play with families. And now we're going to go into hardcore games. So with this, we're going to give 3 games. One's going to be a Euro, which is a very loose definition. So we're not going to fight over what a euro is, but whatever you think it is, it's good enough. Thematic and other. So your gamer friends are going to be the hardest to get games for because they really like playing lots of games. So we're going to give you 3 options to go on, and it's whichever category you think they fit best in, that's probably going to be a game for them. We're going to go ahead and start off with Peter. What are your different games for this category for your hardcore gamer?
All right, so we'll start off with my Euro that I have chosen. It's a game that's been around for a little bit. It's actually over 10 years old now. And it's a to me for a Euro game, which is not my normal cup of tea. That's not my favorite style of game. But this one, each time we get it either to the table or digital, I am a big fan of it, and that is Concordia. I really enjoy this game because I can get behind the idea of like I'm traveling around this Roman Empire-esque time period map of the Mediterranean region. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to build my trade empire as I'm going from city to city and gaining access to different materials to then turn in. And then that part of it is fun, but the part of it that breaks my brain every time is figuring out the cards because there's a card market at the top, and you're trying to figure out what's the best cards to get, how can I get them at the least amount of cost, but also get it before James or Jay or Nathan or anybody else tries to get it first. Because each one of these cards it's like the different gods, the different Greek gods, and so each god's cards have a specific scoring mechanic, and the more of those cards in that for that god that you have, the more you're going to score. And it's a really it's a good thinky Euro game. And there's enough going on for it that it intrigues me, but not so much that I get fed up with it, which that happens a lot with some of the Euro games. They get a little too detailed for me. And I'm just kind of like, I can never solve this puzzle, right? Because that's a lot of Euro games feel very puzzly to me. But this kind of strikes a really nice balance where I like the theme and I enjoy the puzzle that's happening. And so every time I've played it, I have ended up enjoying it. I don't think I've won it yet in the times that we've played, but that doesn't, I don't even care. I don't even care that I haven't won it. I enjoyed just the game. So that is Concordia. Highly recommended if your core gamer really likes Euros. If they're looking for thematic games, I don't know. There's a lot of really good thematic games, but this one takes the cake for me. And a really good friend of mine got it for me, and he's on the channel right now. War of the Ring, second edition, is a fantastic thematic game if your friend loves Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings, anything by Tolkien. Evan got me the game. James came over and played the game with me. You guys rock. To me anyways, it's a lot, especially that first time. There's a lot of stuff happening, but you're going to be playing your way through the story of the Fellowship, going to Mordor to toss that ring into the fires of Mount Doom. One of you will be playing the Fellowship. The other player will be playing as Sauron and all of his minions, Saruman and the orcs. So there's a lot happening, a lot going on. So many miniatures on this board. It's a huge board. If you just want to completely get lost in trying to kind of in a board game fashion reenact the Lord of the Rings, then I don't know that there's a game that does it better than this. It does say that you can play it 4 players, and I think you probably could, but I definitely really enjoyed the 2-player version that I played with James. And the only thing that I'm sad about is I've still only played it the one time. I got to play it again at some point. So if your friend is a big Lord of the Rings Tolkien fan, I would recommend War of the Rings second edition. Other. just another really fun game that I think would be great for hardcore gamers. This one could slide in under the thematic category as well, and that is Star Wars Outer Rim. I think this is a fantastic game. If your friend is into Star Wars at all, then they will thoroughly enjoy this game as they have to traverse their way around this really cool semicircle board where they're going in their ship and they might run into bad guys or good guys who are going to attack them, but you're taking on bounties. You're going around and you might have to capture Chewbacca or Han Solo, and you might have to choose to either let them go or fight them or join them or have them be part of your crew. And it's just a lot of fun, really enjoyable. I will say, get the expansion for your buddy as well, though. Don't get him just the base game. Get him the base game with the expansion. Makes it such a great game. And so that is Star Wars Outer Rim. And now I pass it to Evan.
So now we're going to go to the perfect list, mine here. And as a side note, if you know your friend likes Lord of the Rings, there are many things you can convince him to do if you just tell him it's Lord of the Rings based.
It's very
Stay
true.
tuned for a much, much later episode that we're going to talk about stuff that's happening, because you can convince Peter to do just about anything Lord of the Rings based.
Just about anything.
But for the hardcore gamer, if you're looking for a Euro, sometimes when you have a Euro game, the one phrase that goes with the Euro is the bezier the better, because Euro games are just, there's no theme to them, or there's a theme but it doesn't matter. One that I picked, it has a theme on it. It fits very well. It does a great job implementing the theme, and that is the White Castle. So it is not a very big box. It is surprisingly small, but the game itself is, you are working to become the next daimyo, and you have all these worker placement slots. You've got dice that you can use for different actions. You've got this very beautiful laid out board. The artwork is phenomenal, and it fits very well into this feudal Japan era. On the left side of the board, there's 3 bridges that look absolutely great and make it next to impossible to put them back in the stinking box. But I digress on that. The artwork is phenomenal, and it has all the very great elements of Euros with the worker placement, the die placements, all the actions being super tight. Like, this game is only played over 3 rounds, but it is so tight in this. It is phenomenal. It just came out within the last couple years, and people talk about it in the gaming circles. If you read through like BGG and reviews and stuff like that, that this is borderline the perfect Euro. You can pick up a copy of it for not a whole lot of money, and it is definitely worth grabbing a copy to play. You will not be disappointed. Your friend that is a gamer, if they like Euros, they will be very happy. It even has a solo mode in it. Give it a shot. You will not be disappointed. Thematic. So we all love games that are just dripping in theme. They all pretty much the opposite of Euro, at least to me. And a game that I think just drips in theme. It is perfect, and there are multiple different versions that you can buy. Pick one, you won't be disappointed, and that is going to be any of the Nemesis games. You are going through, you're avoiding getting killed by aliens or legally distinct aliens, because it is not actually aliens. The miniatures in the game are phenomenal. You are so immersed into everything that's going on, like you can feel your heart palpitating as you're opening doors and going through. Did I make enough noise to have these things that are going to eat my face? Even down to, you have 2 brothers that are trying to get to an escape pod, and one of them just jumps into it and just gives the middle finger to the other as they blast off. And then the one that was left behind then hate plays for the next hour because he just says, you know what? If you're going to leave me behind, I'm going to draw this out because I'm petty. See our playthrough of Nemesis to see what I'm talking about. But it is absolutely phenomenal. They hit the nail on the head with the theme playing in this game. It is really, really good. So the other category, as we were discussing before we started recording, uh, the potpourri, whatever you want it to be. And it's a game that we actually played not that long ago. Peter absolutely loved this game, and that is going to be After the Empire. So this game, you are trying to build up your kingdom, defend it from the hordes of barbarians. You only have a few actions every turn. You need about twice as many to do everything, so you got to make hard choices as you go. The game is very tight. The theme shines in this game. It is really cool that you can build this castle and you actually have it right in front of you, and you're moving pieces around. Really awesome. I really liked it. I had a copy of it forever. I knew Nathan had played it, so I convinced him to teach us. It was fantastic. Peter loved it. I want to get my copy out and play it. And if I do, Peter has to
Yes.
come over to
I
play
will
it.
be over in an instant to play. It was
I'm
so
excited
good.
excited to do it, and I just because I was so happy with how it played, it had to go onto my list somehow, some way, and this was the perfect spot to put it.
Yeah. It might be the highlight game of my 2024 year.
Oh,
It was really good. And we quit just in the right time because my strategy was about to crap out. But yeah,
Peter was teetering on the edge,
I
but
was
that
on the
last
edge and
turn, it was
it was not going to go well, but
no.
I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, that was a great game. I love that game a lot. So yeah, I would definitely be up to playing Evan's copy there and steal. I mean, playing it.
We never steal games between each other. They just circle around.
Yeah, that's pretty much how that works. So yeah, that's all great. Three great ones here. We still have no crossover whatsoever, which is still surprising to me. But my Euro game is one I think is like the quintessential great Euro games that just really stands the test of time, and especially the Tuscany version of that one. But it's going to be Viticulture. Viticulture is published by Stonemaier Games, so it has like amazing component quality. It is thematic for a Euro. It's some of it's your imagination, but it's a great Euro game. It's split between 2 seasons. Now there is an expansion that you can go up to 3 seasons, and they have Viticulture World, and there's a whole plethora of things you can go through. So not only is it a great game, but there's a lot of really great expansions that you can get for it that just up the level of the game itself. Now I do recommend that if you get this, you get the Viticulture Essential Edition. That has like the basic great stuff from some of the from the first edition, some of the expansions in it built into one box. But it is an amazing it's an amazing Euro. I don't really care about winemaking at all, which is what the game's about, but I still love playing this game. If you care about winemaking, oh my gosh, it'll blow your mind. You'll be like, this is the greatest game since some other game.
I
So
like
yeah,
wine drinking. Does that count?
yeah, sure, go. Yeah.
The greatest game since sliced bread.
Sliced bread.
Yes, wine is better than bread.
So yeah, that's that's my Euro game. I really think that is a great Euro game. My thematic game is one of my favorite thematic games, and I do like playing this game. I started off with for it, but I have gone to the part of like psychotic with it. I really like playing this game. I really think it is an amazingly thematic game. Every time I play it, it's completely unfair. I could get totaled most of the time, but I have a lot of fun doing it. Have you ever wanted to punch Cthulhu in the face? Have you ever been like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to shoot everything. We're going to go nuts and we're going to try to survive, but we're not going to. And that is Cthulhu Death May Die. It is such an amazing game that ramps up the entire time. You just start out, you're okay, like, we're going to start moving. Oh no, they're starting to come after me. And then the whole game is just on. You are fighting, you're throwing spells, you're doing crazy stuff everywhere, you're just doing whatever. It's the type of game where you're like, you know what? I might die, but heck with it. We're just gonna do this crazy thing. It's like it's insane. It's a lot of fun. There was tons of stands up moments on it. I can't tell you how many times I played this game and everyone just jumped up because we're ready to roll. And our stuff depends on this roll. It is an amazing game. Really, really great miniatures, great art. It's published by Simon, so it's over the top for that end. But really well designed. I believe Eric M. Lang designed it along with Rob Davia, who
Who?
did Eric M. Lang.
Who?
Oh my gosh. It's been a while since I mentioned him. He hasn't actually published any games that
It's been
I
a bit.
know about. Yeah.
It's been a bit.
But Rob Davio, he did Pandemic. And
Betrayal Legacy.
Betrayal Legacy, a lot of those type of games. So the two of them combined together made an amazing game. And that was Cthulhu Death May Die. My final other game, because it's technically a thematic game too, but I was having a hard time.
Before you said it, I just want to
Nathan's trying to jump in.
Rob Davio was Pandemic Legacy, not Pandemic, just to be clear.
Yes, that's true. Pandemic Legacy. You're right. Anyway, he's the legacy guy.
James got
He is
fact
the
checked.
legacy guy.
I did get fact checked. No fact check. No, he didn't. You're right. All right. Anyway, my other game is a game I love. And I used to listen to this guy's podcast forever. Really got me into making a podcast and making me want to do that. Got this whole thing started. And just really excited when he made a game. Lots of the games he likes, I like. And that was Roy Kennedy designed a game. And that game is Last Light. I am a sucker for 4Xs, even though I can't actually play them very often because they're giant, sprawling games. Well, here comes Last Light, which plays significantly less than Twilight Imperium 4th edition. That is over there.
Like an eighth of an eighth
eighth
less.
of the time.
Yeah.
And it has like everything I love in the game. It has hand management. It has that where all the actions you can take are in your hand. It has that just quick player turns. Everyone gets to take their turn at the same time, with a couple exceptions for where you have to stop for one or two of the cards. But in general, the turns are really quick. It is a really straightforward, really engaging 4X game that plays very quickly, has really cool mechanic where the board moves and stuff. Really like Last Light. If you're into 4Xs, I highly recommend that one.
Oh, also with
No
Last
Death
Light,
Blossom.
the planets are not lollipops.
No, they are not. Don't eat
They're
them.
not. And question for Nathan on that: how many light do you play to?
He's never gonna live that down. Never gonna live that down. Watch our playthrough and mock him. Mock him in the comments. Just mock him.
Yes.
Just do that.
Oh, to be honest though, it worked out well. I mean, it made the game a good length for our purposes.
For you, I lost because of that.
So
He's just moving on.
Evan's opinions don't matter.
Everyone has opinions and stuff. Rules, schmools.
A lot of great games talked about. We're going to have our first two half crossovers.
Oh, half crossovers.
And the first one is with my Euro game. It's half crossover with James because it's the same publisher, Stonemeyer Games.
Okay.
And that's Apiary. Now, Apiary does what I like in Euro games. I like a heavy Euro game that is complicated in how you play it, but not complicated in how you learn it and teach it. Because it's a worker placement game, it's relatively easy to go through everything you need to know and relatively easy to learn despite having a lot going on. Yes, it does take a while to teach, but I've never had too much difficulty, explaining it or having people understand what needs to be done once I've gone through the whole spiel. And in it, you are playing as bees in space. So
You said it wrong. You gotta say it right.
I can't emulate Tim
Bees
Curry.
in space.
Anyways, it's a worker placement, but the thing that makes it cool is your workers have a strength, and each time you use them, they become stronger, and their strength determines the quality of the action you get to take. So you get to get better actions with stronger workers, but once they get to a certain strength, they hibernate and you lose them until you can get new bees. And it's definitely on the longer end, and it definitely has a lot of meat to it. And you could really good at this game after a large number of plays, but you're probably not going to do terribly well your first play. My next half crossover is half because it's a same but in a different category. As James, I put Last Light as my thematic game of choice, and pretty much said everything there is to say about it. And yes, you do play the 20 light. So I don't think I need to say a whole lot more about that. My other game is a game that almost could have been into the family or casual gamer category, except for it's a little bit hard to get into at the start. But once you get going, it's really, really good story game. And Sleeping Gods, which is right behind James's head on the left.
Still want to play this game so bad.
Distant Skies is a new one. My understanding is basically a very similar game. I haven't got it to the table yet. But the idea of it is you start out with a vague mission, and there's a wide map, and you can go anywhere you want. And as you travel, explore, you're getting hints of story and getting keywords, and those little hints of stories eventually coalesce to a pretty comprehensive story. And the thing is, every time you can play, it's going to be a completely different story because there's so many things you can do and so many paths you can take. It's just phenomenal how much content there is in this game. I can't imagine writing anything cohesive in this sprawling game. But they managed to do it.
Yeah, Ryan Lockett's like a one-shop stop. He does the design, he does the game, he does the art, he does the publishing.
With some help from his family, of course.
Yeah. But,
That's it, Peter. Until our big game comes in, we're going to get that. You'll come over, we'll play it.
So that was our recommendations for your hardcore gamers. Now, you're like, I have no idea what to get this gamer in my life at all. And you're like, I'm not sure if they have this game or don't have this game. What else could you get them? Well, you could get them an accessory. So we're going to talk about a gaming accessory. What do we feel is like a great gaming accessory you can get for that gamer in your life? And we're going to go ahead and start off with Peter and what his recommendation is.
All right. So if you're looking for an accessory for that friend in your life who loves to play tabletop role-playing games. So if they are a Dungeons and Dragons fan or any other generic fantasy possibly fan, then I think is something that would be fantastic for them to get, especially if they're the person who runs the games, is any of the battle mat books by Loki Battle Mats. Loki Battle Mats makes phenomenal, very sturdy, durable, highly reusable, completely fold out flat on the board battle mats. Most of the books you can, even if they weren't sold together, you can line them up together on the table to expand the map to make it even bigger. They make exceptionally wonderful battle mats for tabletop role-playing games. They've also done some specifically for the cyberpunk universe if you have a friend who plays in that universe. But any generic fantasy role-playing game, these are fantastic. They have saved me so much time from having to try to hand draw crappy hand-drawn maps by me. Take me hours and hours and hours, and they don't look all that great. Or I can just find the maps that I need right there in their books. And so I don't even have all of their books, but I mean, like every time I get one to the table, I hear nothing but oohs and ahs from all of my players. So this is going to be definitely the game accessory that I am recommending for your friend who really loves role-playing games.
Yeah, I got to see some of those. That is a very, very good pick. Those are awesome.
So my recommendation is something that I bought for myself after seeing somebody have one, and I go, that is really good. I want one. And if you have a board game friend, the big problem is transporting said board games because a lot of times they are big, they are bulky, and once you get 2 to 3 of them, they get heavy. So instead of continuing to talk about it, I'm going to get mine, which is about 5 feet away.
Oh my gosh, he's pulling it out of the wall.
Right out of the
See
wall.
if it actually shows up.
You're gonna have to
here.
probably hold it in front of you. Maybe. No.
Nope. No, blurs.
Yeah, if you can turn off the background, it'll show up, but
That's too much.
Too
But
much
it
work.
is, if you go to Miniature Market, you go into their accessories and look up their board game bags. The large one is phenomenal. You can fit so many games into it. There we go. Just like that. But bigger.
Yeah, and it's a super reasonable price.
It's
It is an amazingly
40
good
bucks.
price.
You
Yeah.
can fit so many games in it.
Oh my gosh, that's a great price.
You can use it as a backpack. It has the straps for it. It has the 2 straps that you can carry it like kind of like Nathan's there. It also has the shoulder sling, so you have multiple options. The zippers go all the way around. So it opens very, very wide. But you can fit so many games into it. It is ridiculous. It is phenomenal. There are other ones that are out on the market that are about similarly sized, but they usually end up running 60, 80 bucks. This one, like I said, it's about 40 bucks. It is not bad at all for what you get. It is a great buy. Any board game friend that would receive that would absolutely love it.
Plus, if you wear it at a convention, you can just plow everyone over.
You can.
So yeah, I highly recommend that one. It's a great recommendation. Board game bags are really good. That one's phenomenal. Great price. Saves me my back a lot with that. Really good. So for me, I got to review some dice from Baron of Dice. And for me, dice tell stories in games. And if you have a thematic game, whether it be an RPG or board game, miniature game or whatnot, they have in some, a lot of times you get really nice dice, right? They're just nice dice. These ones out and so nice that like they just add immersion to the games. So whether it's going to be you're playing a drunken dwarf in D&D and you need those beer dice that look really amazing, or you're going to be playing some Warhammer and you need some thematic dice, which are better than I think the ones that come out for Game Workshop that are really thematic for whether you're playing the Tyranids or you're playing Marines or you're doing whatever. They have ones for multiple different RPGs. They have some for board games. They have Cthulhu dice that I really think are really awesome. Their dice are just amazing. And pretty much if you have a D&D player or RPG player in your life, they are something wrong with collecting dice with them. It is like a thing that goes with D&D. You start D&D, you now become obsessed with dice. So they'll love it. Any of the war gamers, if you know what war game they like, you can get thematic dice for that. If they have a specific game in their game collection that they just play over and over again that has dice in it, you could replace them with some really nice dice, and they'll really appreciate that. Just really like it. Really think they have a great product line. Yeah, and that's for me. It's Baron of Dice, or whatever wherever you're gonna get thematic dice at. I just specifically like theirs. But yeah, that's my pick. Also, you could tell I was telling the truth about D&D players because he's shaking his head. Yes, he likes dice.
It's very true. All the dice.
All the dice. They're like 800 dice. What do you need 800 dice for? I don't know. They're nice.
I could have all the dice and you don't have enough.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, James has like a screen full of dice on his
Right. But those are all gone. I literally only have one set of D&D dice left. No, I lied. I have two. But yeah.
So, a little out there ideas, like since with Evan's bag idea, you can always get a gamer a bag that looks like they're shopping for their wife. So when they buy their board games, they can put it in and their wife doesn't know they're buying board games.
So everyone had good ideas except for Nathan.
But no, that's not the real idea. So I went with something that I always want more of. I don't use a lot of accessories. The one thing I do always need more of, if you've seen my library tour, you know this is true, is shelving. And, this is a big purchase and it's, it can be hard to, decide what works and know what works for somebody's library, but Kallax is always a safe option. You can see one right behind James. They fit pretty much every board game. They are unobtrusive. Their colors are, fit with most settings. And I think they just work in almost any situation.
And as far as furniture goes, they're pretty inexpensive.
You do have to build it yourself usually, but it's not too terrible.
It's not hard. You can build it upside down and flip it back around. It doesn't matter. It's a square.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was our gaming accessories suggestions. Now we're on to a topic that is near and dear to Peter's heart. So we'll skip it. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, come on.
We're going to do our RPG recommendations. And
that's right.
Fittingly so, we're going to start with Peter.
That's right. So, yes, as James said, I am a role play gamer at heart. I do love board games, really enjoy board games, but role playing games are where my heart is at. And for this one, I'm going to be recommending the One Ring Second Edition Starter Set from Free League Publishing. Specifically, again, you're wanting to get your friend something that they can immediately get to the table, right? So if you get them the book, then that's great. But at the same time, the book doesn't always come with an adventure that they can run right away. Free League Publishing makes incredible starter sets. They come with everything that you need to run the game. They're phenomenal. And so you're not going to have the full core rules for the One Ring Second Edition with the starter set, but you have everything you need to start running the game. And so I would highly recommend the One Ring Second Edition starter set. Get that for your friends. They're easily available. It's such a great game. If you love Middle Earth, if you love Tolkien, if you're just a fantasy fan in general, and you're given this starter set, you're going to be super excited to be running it for your friends as soon as possible. And it's not the only book in the series. So if you get them this and they love it, then they've got multiple other books that they're going to end up wanting to get, not least of which is the brand new Moria expansion. So your friends can start to relive all of their None Shall Pass experiences that Gandalf fighting the Balrog. It is a great book. And if you're looking for reviews on this, we've got tons of videos for like each of the books in the series, so you can check them out on the channel. But yeah, the One Ring Second Edition, specifically the starter set.
I am really, really, really wanting to play that game.
Yep.
Really wanting to play it.
It's gonna happen.
Evan?
No, we always talk about stuff like that, but it doesn't happen, unfortunately. But I will say, we've gone this long, and we are now finally having our first repeat. And it is a true repeat.
Really?
Because I have on my RPG list as a recommendation The One Ring by Free League Publishing, because the system that Free League uses is really good.
So good.
It is super easy to learn. It does a great job, even though it is easy to learn. It doesn't take away from the game, which sometimes you have that problem that if it's easy to learn, the game's not going to be great because you lose some of that granularity with it. That doesn't really happen. So you have something simple that people can start into if you're jumping into, which can be a problem for some other RPGs. Like sometimes even the newer editions of Dungeons and Dragons, there's a lot coming at you all at one time.
For
This
sure.
you can slow it down with this very easily. Plus, if you are willing to play a fantasy RPG, then I am willing to bet that you have some kind of liking to some kind of Tolkien something.
Mm-hmm.
This just fits. So, I too am recommending The One Ring by Free League Publishing.
Okay, so what does a honey badger and me have in common? I do what I want. So
Okay.
it was gonna be a crossover, but you know what? I'm not gonna conform. Conform. I'm not gonna conform. I'm just gonna change what I wanted to do in the first place and do that. But the One Ring, amazing. But I am recommending what you can late pledge for. So this would be a gift for the future.
Ooh, okay.
So it is a late pledge availability to it, and it's one from built on one of the series that is near and dear to my heart that I love so much, and that is Stormlight Archive. I love the book series. I like Brandon Sanderson. I like the Mistborn. This is basically going to be the Cosmere role-playing game. It started around to be Stormlight Archive, turned into Cosmere. So it's going to have your Mistborn. It's going to have your Stormlight. It's going to have your Trust of the Emerald Sea. It's going to have all the stuff that's in the Cosmere, all the good stuff. And it was heavily monitored by Brandon Sanderson. A lot of his writing is going to be in it. And if you were at the Mistborn RPG, which I'm not going to recommend right now because I didn't like the system so much, but the fact that there's so many stories in that are for the Mistborn thing explains so much about the Mistborn universe. It's like pretty much an encyclopedia of Mistborn, and this is no exception. I do like the RPG system that is in Cosmere. I think that it's going to be great. It's pretty heavy on the storytelling, which I like, and I just love that IP. It is just amazing. I mean, I read everything, so
yeah. And
he writes a lot.
I will jump in here and say, as somebody who is really into role-playing games, and I keep up with some of the authors out there who write content for role-playing games, they got a phenomenal team of creators for this game. And so having not played it at all, having not read anything about it other than the Kickstarter, I can tell you this is going to be a really, really great role-playing game.
And just to, well, first his book series was the that he put on Kickstarter is still the highest Kickstarter in world history for Kickstarter. I mean, it blew it away by a lot. This one is the highest RPG in Kickstarter history. He is just a phenomenal writer. Tons of people know it. If you have a family member that likes to play RPGs and likes Brandon Sanderson books, oh my gosh, just late pledge it for them. If they didn't already get it, they will be your friend forever.
Yeah, also because let's be honest, this is not going to be a cheap purchase.
No, it won't be. No. You could actually you could do this. You could lay pledge it and then slowly give them the pieces over time.
Yeah, you could be giving them gifts for a few years.
Every birthday, every
it's gonna
Christmas.
be good. It's gonna be good.
Great game. So Nathan, what's your RPG?
So my RPG isn't for the faint of heart. It's definitely not family friendly, and they know what it is because we have played it on the channel. And this is Morkborg, spelled Morkborg. And this is a brutalist game that's really simple to learn. In fact, I really love it because, the players only really have one page of rules to read. The game master may want to actually read the full thing through, but you know, once you start playing, you can actually do character creation in a few minutes. And the way to generate your characters, there were suggested ways by these dice rolls, but those dice rolls can actually develop into a full character pretty easily. And, they can dictate how you're going to play the game in a very interesting way. So it's something you can get in and just start playing within a few minutes of introducing it to your players. And I love that about it. And I love the brutality. You're gonna get mutilated. You're gonna die pretty quickly. It's really designed for like a few sessions, not necessarily a huge long campaign, because your characters are not gonna live that long. Everything is designed to kill them. And it's super evocative and a lot of fun.
I love the character generation for that because it was
Yeah,
so
that is pretty
fast,
cool. Yeah. My monkey died though.
as it should.
I shouldn't have not lived in that game.
No,
I had like
should
4
not.
really good rolls in a row. It was like crazy.
I was
And I rolled poorly
surprised.
after that, so I think I lost a leg or something.
I was surprised that people lived as long as they did.
All right, so that's our RPG recommendations. All really great. Any of this stuff, you get people into the hobby, is a very enriching thing, and you can do lots of stuff on it. But we're going to end it in a more approach where your significant other, you want to play a game with them, or you want to play a 2-player game with your friend. So this is going to be a game that you could just play with 2 people and be a lot of fun. And again, Peter's going to start off, and this is going to be our last topic here. So Peter's going to go his 2-player game. Wait, am I missing one, Evan?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I did that on purpose. All right, anyway, so we're going to do our 2-player game, and then we're going to come back to miniatures, because I already did the intro for the 2-player one.
Absolutely. All
there's
right.
one more.
So I'm going to be recommending a game, and this is maybe a little, not great, but whatever. I'm going to recommend a game I haven't played yet. A little bit like James, where he was recommending the Cosmere RPG. I'm going to recommend a game I haven't played yet, and that if we haven't talked about it enough yet, everybody, here's the quiz. What IP, what intellectual property does Peter like the most? Lord of the Rings. There we go. All right. So 2-player game. I've been a huge fan of Seven Wonders Duel for a long time now. I think it's a fantastic 2-player game. I really, really enjoy it. It's got some great expansions that you can play with and enjoy. But we have what is kind of being considered a successor of Seven Wonders Duel, set in the Middle Earth realm, The Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth. I haven't played it yet, but this is personally on my Christmas list.
You
This
get a
is
cool little map too in it.
right. You got a cool map on it and everything. So anything, when they told me, okay, think Seven Wonders Duel, but now Middle Earth, sold. That was all I needed to be told. The game looks great. It's getting some good ratings on BGG. So I have no problem with recommending this game for a 2-player game. If you're not sure and Lord of the Rings is not your thing, then I will recommend Seven Wonders Duel, because I think it's a fantastic 2-player game. Very easy to learn. And again, it's got some nice expansions already. It's been around for a while. It's tried and true. It's a good 2-player game. But I personally am really looking forward to the Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth. Can't wait to get my own copy and get it to the table. And James will play as the bad guys. I will play as the good guys, and the good guys will win, and he will cry. That's all I have to say. And pass it to Evan.
Oh,
for
I don't even know why
2-player.
you're going to be playing as the good guys, the forces of Mordor.
No,
Aren't going to win.
no, they're going to lose. All right, Evan, you're up. 2-player game.
So the 2-player game that I picked is a game that I have played with each of you, and it's probably one of my favorite 2-player games right now. And it talks about 2 of my favorite things: beer and bread.
Yeah.
It is such a great 2-player game. The The board looks great. You got these nice chunky pieces that represent all the different things you need to brew beer, bake bread. Um, the card usage is what I think I really love the most. It is try-use cards, so you got your recipes for beer, bread. You've got special abilities on them, and also that's how your resources that you're going to use, and you're going to use them. And depending on the season, because you go through lean years and uh, fruitful years, and depending on the year that you're in, dictate on how you're going to collect your resources based off those cards, because sometimes you're going to be playing the cards out of your hand to collect those resources. And then other years, you're going to be using those cards that you played from the previous year as your resource. So you have to plan ahead. So there are so many layers of strategy into this game. But talking about this multiple times on the channel, I stick by with the fact of, with the different layers of strategy with this, you can get off at any point. If you don't want to go through and try and figure out and optimize if I play this on this year, on the next year, I can do this with that. You don't have to do that at all. So if you don't want to get to super thinky, that's fine. The game still plays really good. And that's what I really like it. It's just kind of solid if you just want to casually play it, or if you want to go super deep, involved thinking strategy with it, and it still works really good. That's why I really like it. Solid ratings with it. Still readily available, and it's not super expensive. I think it went on to under 35 last year on my list of stuff, and it's still in that category. It's not expensive. It's a great game. Great game.
I was going to say, I would jump in here as well, because this is the second game that was on Evan's list that was not on my list, but I will also say was one of my favorite games of the year to date. Evan and I played it. It was so good. It came down to, I think, the second tiebreaker, and Evan beat me by a point.
A single point.
It was so close, but it was, just a really, really solid. And again, I have a special place in my heart for two-player games, and this one is way up on my list of two-player games at this point.
And I think with the teaching you, Peter, because you've never played the game at that point, teaching you and getting through the entire game, I think we were done sub 45 minutes.
Maybe something like that. It was close. It was really good.
Plus the component quality for it's amazing.
Scott Alms, real solid.
So for me, this game here, I really like a lot. I think that it's a really good strategic game that you can pull out. You can play really quickly. You get through a bunch of games. You can do it on a late night when you guys done for the day, and just have some fun with it. And that's going to be Air, Land, and Sea, which is going to be a game where you're going to be trying to win in 2 of the 3 theaters with a limited card pool. You know what all the cards are, except for you don't get all the cards dealt out to each player. So you're not quite sure what the other player has. You just know what you don't have. So it's really cool, because once you really get into it, there's a lot of bluffing in the game, and all these cards, except for the largest cards, have special effects on them, and it's just a lot of fun. And my favorite version of this is the Critters at War version, because I really like the art for it. And they actually made the expansion for Air, Land, and Seas also in the Critter version, which I think is Flies, Lies, and Supplies. Really great. They can play played together or separately. Just a really fun game, and one of those games that I think you get a lot of plays from it, because it's just a game that you can just come home and just play. So you'll be like, I'm tired, I just want to play games, just want to hang out. That's the game. So I really highly recommend Air, Land, and Sea. Critters at War if you want to get that copy, because I like the art. But either one's fine. That's my recommendation.
Mine technically isn't 2-player only, but I would recommend only playing with 2 or 3 players.
Nathan.
Flipping cheating, man. Cheating so hard right now.
Yeah,
See,
one job.
One
job, David. One job.
There's the Peter scolding.
But there's a reason why I do put it as 2-player. I would really say, I would not really consider putting it on as a 4-player game, or 3's even pushing it. I'd say keep
one
this as a
game I'll
2-player
accept
game.
here. What is it?
You have no idea what it is.
I don't.
No.
Well, then he doesn't accept it.
Then I
He's
don't
never
accept
played
it. I reject
It's
your game.
it's very, very new. In fact, it's like James, it's technically not available in the retail version yet. You can get the Kickstarter version, and the retail is supposed to be available at the end of October. And that's Creature Caravan.
Ah, okay.
Okay, and this game is a Ryan Lockett game. It is you're traveling around along a map, trying to collect resources and trying to get as far as possible along this map and just optimizing your play. And has the Everdell mechanic of you have a tableau of creatures you can put down, and you can max out at 12 creatures. So you do have to plan what creatures you want and try to synergize them and make sure you have space in your tableau for all the creatures you want. The main thing about this game, though, is has no player interaction whatsoever. And that's why I would say you don't necessarily want to play this with large player counts, even though it can play up to 4 or 5, depending if you have the Kickstarter version. It is simultaneous play, so that's speeds up the game a lot. But if you're playing with more players, you're going to end up waiting for people to finish their turns. So that's why I say play this with 2 or 3.
All right, fair enough. You're wrong. We're right. But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. No, okay. So that was our 2-player games. Now is our actual last topic. And this is going to be a recommendation for a miniature game. And Evan is our resident miniature person. So we're going to start with Peter. Peter, what's your game?
So yeah, so for me, I don't play a whole lot of miniature games. So I don't have anything that I've played that I can highly recommend. But I do have one that I have seen played and really wanted to play because of the theme of the game. And that is a game called Test of Honor. It is a skirmish war game that is going to. It says here, I'm just reading off the website right now, that the you're going to be playing your players select their force, and it's a wrapped around a samurai or a masterless ronin or a warrior monk. You're going to have 10 to 20 models on the board. And again, having seen this one, I'm a huge fan of anything samurai focused. And so getting to see the beautiful painted miniatures that this guy brought to the table. I think I was sitting over playing a board game and not paying too much attention because I kept looking over my shoulder, wanting to go check out more of the samurai miniatures. And so the fact that it leans heavily into that culture and that idea and that theme, this is one that I'm like, okay, I could maybe get on board with playing a few games of this war game. And so it's the one that I'm going to recommend to you all because it's the one that I want to play the most of all the ones that I have heard of or have seen. Again, I think I've only ever played maybe 1 or 2 miniature war games with Evan and James, and I've enjoyed them. But the theme for this one is it makes me want to check it out more. So that is what I'm recommending. Test of Honor.
Yeah, it's a really good game. I got into it pretty heavily for the first edition. And the guy I played with kind of stopped, so I ended up getting out of it. The only reason. It went into a second printing. It got bought by another company, and then they took off with it and are doing a really good job. One cool thing, going to like Historicon and Fall In, there is a guy that consistently runs a Test of Honor game. It is, I think, 24 or 32 players at that. And it is a
Whoa.
huge long table. I'll throw a couple pictures in our Discord at our channel, and then if you want to add it into the
Yeah, I will.
stuff later, I'll dig them up. But yeah, they're phenomenal.
That's so
He's
cool.
the guy. He walks up and down. He's got a the tour guide microphone and speaker thing to talk is so people can hear him. But yeah, there's so many people playing it. It's always sold out because there's so many people that want to play it. And it looks great, and he has like all sorts of different things going on with it. It's really really cool. Um, Good game. It is a really good game. It's really easy to learn. So miniature games is, my bread and butter. I have so many. I can where I'm sitting at my desk, I can reach out and grab miniatures for so many different things, all at arm's reach. But I'm not going to recommend a singular game. I'm going to recommend a company, and you pick the game that you want out of them. And the company that I'm going to recommend to you is Wiley Games. Their Fistful of Lead series is phenomenal, mainly being it is a skirmish based. So, what that means for you as the player is you're generally only going to control anywhere from 2 to 6 figures at a time. The system itself, you only have about 5 or 6 actions that you can do. It is a card-based system, so the cards really help you on what you can do because depending on the card that you get, helps you on your actions or where you're going to go. The games themselves are designed more into the um, theatrical side. So if you want to do some cool things like jumping off like from like rooftop to rooftop, or a game that I played that they were trying to stop a wagon, like the guy was pushing over hay bales to block it and did so poorly that when he pushed it, it fell back on him because he like flubbed the roll. It was fantastic, but it's designed into that system for stuff to be able to happen like that. You can get any of the rules. They're about $25 printed, or you can get the PDF for about $10 or less. You have Fistful Lead with their generic system. You can get Fistful Lead Reloaded if you want to do Western. Viva Revolution for Mexican American stuff. Horse and Musket for anything black powder. Tales of Horror if you want to fight vampires and werewolves and stuff like that. Galactic Heroes if you want to do far future. Starfighters if you just want to do, ship based, just a couple things. Battlesuit Alpha, you want to play MechWarrior without getting into 17 books and stuff like that. It's all self-contained. They've got Grimdark, which is a Warhammer-esque kind of thing. Wasteland Warriors for like Fallout kind of stuff. If you want to do like medieval fantasy, Might and Melee, that's 3 books, but that's what it's there for. One of the newer ones that came out with was Arena of Blood, Gladiator Combat. And then they just came out with Age of Steam, which is going to be like a steampunk. But I can teach people to play this game, and it's a convention game that I'm going to use for different things. I can teach people how to play this game within 10 minutes, and you're playing. And it's designed for, like I said, only a couple things, but it's really cool. You can adapt it. They have a game or a system in their bigger battles where now instead of controlling 5 guys, you're controlling tons. So it's scalable, and you can find something that you want there. Also with it, it's scale agnostic. So if you are not sold on 28 millimeter, want to do it at a different scale, fine. Do it in 15 millimeter, do it in 6 millimeter, whatever. You want to do it in 54, by all means. If you don't have miniatures to go with it, they sell them right there. And there's some really cool miniatures. They do real simple pricing, like $3, $5 for your guys. Done. But you can use anything you want. So if you got a crap ton of D&D miniatures, use them, whatever. Really like it. Really good system. That's what I'm going to go with. If you want to get something for somebody, look at Wiley Games.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to check some of those out. I just got into miniature games, so I'm pretty far in. I have like going nuts with Warhammer. I did a lot of Shatterpoint. But what I'm going to do is, when I first started out, one of the things that frustrated me was so few companies that made miniature games made like a set with everything that you need in it to play the game. It's just not something that's commonly done. You have to get a book, then you have to get all the miniatures, and it's all separate. And as a board game player, I sort of like just buying it and having it, and then maybe get expansions and stuff. So one that I'm going to recommend is a really great RPG system that's made by Free League, that they made a miniature game off of too. And that's going to be Zone Wars, which is going to be the Mutant Year Zero game. And there's a game and expansion for it. Technically, the expansion can be played by itself too. But you just have to know the rules from the base game. But it has everything you need to play. But both of these have everything you need to play. It's a skirmish style miniature game. You have 2 factions. You have your map that comes with it. You have some terrain that you're going to place out, and you have lots of scenarios you can go on. I think it comes with 10 scenarios, both expansions. You can replay these scenarios. You can make your own scenarios, but it is a really good skirmish game. It will teach you a lot of the basics that are in most miniature games too, and some of the concepts you're going to run into. So if you're thinking about getting into miniature games and you like the Mutant Year Zero or post-apocalyptic style art miniature games or theme in general, this is going to be a game that'll be great to get into the hobby with. Great to learn those early mechanics and how the stuff flows. Plus, you don't need to put any miniatures together with this one. You could just paint them if you wanted to, or just play with them as they are, or just give them a wash. Doesn't matter. You can just play. And then you can branch out into your bigger miniature games and, go into a hobby and have lots of fun. So, yeah, that's my recommendation. Mutant Year Zero Zone Wars. Which I
So,
still need to play with Evan.
so like Peter, I can count the number of miniature games I played on one hand.
One finger, maybe?
No. And you know, I've never really been that into them. In fact, all the ones I played, only 2 of them have remained in my collection. One of them, which is Battle Masters, you're not going to be able to find. It's just too old, and it's more nostalgia than anything that makes me love that game. But the one I want to actually talk to you about is Battle Cry, which is a very light miniature game, and it is the first in the Command and Color series, and I like it the best because it's the most straightforward. Memoirs also does the same series, and it just adds a couple extra rules for more modern units. But Battlecry is set in the Civil War. You go through different battles within the Civil War, and it's not intended necessarily to be balanced. There are in the actual battle, obviously one side is going to have favor, but then you can always swap sides after you play and see if you can win as the opposite side. And throughout the entire campaign, it ends to balance out a little bit, and you can keep track of your victories throughout the entire campaign. But the core concept of it is you have a hand of cards that are going to have commands that you can give to your various fronts, and you have to make sure you're saving the very critical commands to when you really need it, because they explain that it's like fog of war. It's sometimes hard to get commands to the units you need to. So if you run out of commands that you can give to a specific flank, you can be real in a lot of trouble pretty quickly. That's Battle Cry.
Sure, you waited until I took a drink.
Not widely available, but still available.
Yeah, I think you can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was our miniature games, and that was our recommendations for your holiday season. I hope that this helped. I hope you can find some great games to give to your loved ones and have a great holiday season and have a lot of gaming and, be able to bond together with those things. But anyway, I digress. You guys all have a good night, and we'll see you next time.